a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia. I'll tell you that. As I've told you, just being honest.
Burning jerseys wasn't the answer, was it? We finally beat a team by double-digit points, 28-3, moving on to 4-2. It was a statement game, a legacy game, whatever. This was very much needed. It was also very much needed for Saquon Barkley, who had 187 scrimmage yards with a touchdown. This was his best ever rushing performance at MetLife Stadium. Let that sink in. We all knew this was going to happen. He was going to do what he did on Sunday, he was going to get 30 yards. Also, Gainwell had 13 attempts for 56 yards. Not to take away from what Saquon did, but that's hashtag something to watch. I'm also going to say this once again. What are we without AJ Brown? I kind of have an answer because in our last 6 games, he's only been there for 3 of them, and we're 3-0 in those games, averaging 27.3 points, while in the 3 without him, we're 1-2, averaging 17.3 points. I hope we never figure out what we are without him. He went 5 for 89 and 1. That 4th and 3 touchdown catch and pass was Boyce Hall, perfect. Everyone else was quiet, and this is all because Jalen Hurts had 14 passing attempts, tied his career low. He had 114 and 1, 22 for 2 on the ground, second straight game without a turnover. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to jinx him. And then finally for the offense, the O-line. Hurts got sacked 4 times for 36 yards, which was frustrating at times, but missing 2 starters on your O-line to only give that up to a team that was leading in sacks coming into that game. We'll take it as it is. Hopefully next week they work on some things, but the offense played amazing. And I never thought I'd be able to say this season, but the defense played better than the offense, who put up 28 points. This defense is young, they're hungry. New York only had 117 total yards, 2.2 yards per play, and DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are legit. I don't know what he dropped another interception. We'll talk about that. Actually, you know what? We'll sweep it under the rug just because he's been out of his mind, especially for a rookie. One thing I will say though, the only bad thing. Look at this picture below me. What's that make you say? I'm gonna let you figure this out. We're not gonna talk about it. You think about it in your head. Moving on, we have the D-line who got 8 sacks this game, making their total over their last 2 13. Bryce Huff had 1. Okay, hold on. Bryce Huff had a sack. Can you believe that? Josh Sweat had 1. Welcome. He looks like he's starting to get into a groove, and Jalen Carter had 2. I know he kind of fizzled off at the end of the year, but this is a good sign. Nakobe Dean, 11 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 QB hits, and 2 tackles for a loss. Talking about filling out a fucking stat sheet. When you're playing a shitty team like the Giants, you expect your players to do this, and this is just a good marker to be like, look, he can do this. And then also Zach Baldwin left the second quarter. He wasn't there with a shoulder injury, so that's something to watch. I don't know if Jeremiah Trotter will slide from that backup Mike position to the backer. We'll monitor that. And then we'll also monitor our next game. The road trip continues as we head into Cincinnati to take on the 3-4 Bengals, who are 0-3 at home, but it's do or die for them every week. This will be a back and forth game, but we'll get more into that on Saturday. Enjoy the win. We don't got to criticize them at all. Hopefully we bring the energy like we had this week next week, and we'll talk about it more on Saturday.